Sweet everyone. So today this video going to react to the history for New England. New England, you know the country, next country is Australia. So yeah. So today the video going to react to New Zealand. So let's react.
So basically, Clean My Mac is a software that you download onto your computer, and it's the best Mac cleaner app to really clean and up.
Let's react.
Namely the Southern Alps, and the North Island is mostly flat, where it sits on a volcanic plateau and has great views.
So, you ready, guys? 1, 2, 3, reaction.
New Zealand, a small country in the middle of nowhere that you might not know much about besides Lord of the Rings, rugby, and sheep. Just because it's somewhat unknown doesn't mean there isn't a long, rich history. So today, I'm going to run over it for you as quick as possible. Let's burrow through some geography real quick. The vast majority of New Zealanders live on either North or South Island, though there are 600 tiny islands surrounding, and a few of those are pretty significant. The South Island is dominated by mountains, namely the Southern Alps, and the North Island is mostly flat, where it sits on a volcanic plateau and has great beaches. New Zealand for a long time had barely any mammals besides those that could get there without land. Instead, there were flightless birds. In the predator-free land of New Zealand, flightless birds could flourish. You can sort of tell, even at a glance, why this was one of the last places to be settled by humans. Unfortunately for these birds and their natural tree life, New Zealand's natural isolation wouldn't save it forever. Eventually, Polynesian settlers arrived, bringing with them dogs.
New England is a small country, right? So, you don't need to ask why. Small country, you just don't need why. But you never know what happened many years ago, but you never know.
And other mammals. Introduced predators has made life very hard for New Zealand's native birds, and some have gone extinct, while others have been driven to the brink. We don't know exactly when these Polynesian settlers made first contact, although the Great Fleet is said to have arrived in 1380, which is when the settling began in earnest. These Polynesians, called Maori,
I thought New England was made 1839, I don't know what. When Australia made when Australia made the country name. Guy, please come to when Australia made the.
Have close ties to Eastern Polynesian people, but they did develop a distinct culture of.
So you can see that so before VBCR, that's a try where a country next China and miles away from Japan, and then you got to that's on Hawaii, who's far away, miles away from US. So US away that's so United States is very, very far away from Australia and New Zealand. And some came on America side of the boat to help Japan, or long time ago they used to be help China during World War II. Then in America the boat is sent to Australia. They help in Australia about war. So that's
crafts, mythology, and language. They hunted the native birds, but also planted their own imported crops. Initially settling just the east coast, where the climate was most forgiving, the Maori would eventually spread across New Zealand, forming their own tribes. Contact with Europeans would be made hundreds of years later, when in 1642 the first known European explorer arrived, Abel Tasman. His contact with the Maori was...
well, so much people heard about what happened in Ireland before the First World War. Where some Irish people die because their family bad potatoes, and then there's some Irish people leave the country. They went Scotland, America, Canada, other countries, Australia and New Zealand. but unfortunately, I don't think they went Canada. Not sure.
Hardly positive, probably due to some sort of cultural misunderstanding. His expedition was attacked and 4 of his men killed. This is obviously a bad start to European-Māori relations, but don't worry, it gets much worse. Europeans wouldn't really return until 1769, when James Cook, a British sailor, made 3 voyages into the Pacific Ocean and completed the first circumnavigation of New Zealand. Even today, his map of New Zealand isn't half bad. This greatly paved the way for further colonisation. New Zealand became a hotspot for whaling, sealing and trading. The Māori were extremely eager to get their hands on European technology, partially metal tools and food, but in particular muskets. The importation of muskets would radically...
So they sent to the guns. You know why? Because some country have guns. They're gonna kill your country. They're gonna war your country. And that's why you need that guns. So why do
shift the
you do
balance
this?
of power that had been established by the tribal system, quickly launching the musket wars. Suddenly, tribes that didn't have muskets were getting slaughtered by those that did. Metal weaponry is extremely effective against wood and stone. The musket wars lasted 4 decades and saw up to 30,000 people die, and the entire political landscape of New Zealand reshaped.
What? No. There's too much people that die. That's really ridiculous.
This, coupled with the diseases introduced by Europeans, saw the Māori population plummet to 40% of what it had been pre-contact. February 6, 1840 is sort of where New Zealand begins. Māori and Brits came together to sign...
Wait. See when there's country flag. One country flag in Scotland. You see a white cross doing in there. That means it's maybe in Scotland. So they're doing red, white, doing this France. Then there's red cross, red. That's Denmark.
which
So
created
this
New Zealand as a
is in a
British
country
sovereign state
from that.
ruled by a British governor. It's a huge national holiday and generally considered a big deal. It was hardly the beginning of a lasting peace between peoples though, partially because the treaty was interpreted differently by Māori and British, whom had different understandings of how land ownership works, and partially because the Brits didn't do a great job of ruling, and partially because not everyone agreed to it. It wasn't signed by everyone. The treaty was translated by a guy who wasn't even fluent in Māori. In any case, 1840 to 1860 saw a lot of war and conflict. More so than before, in fact. Only a few short years after the treaty's signing, tensions were high as some Māori were enraged at their country being stolen from them. Lots of Māori wanted the protection of the British Crown, but wanted to remain in control of the land. This led to the New Zealand Wars, a series of armed conflicts which, by the 1860s, saw most of the North Island torn apart by war. The result was massive amounts of land confiscation, further reducing Māori land ownership in New Zealand. To this day, there is a lot of tension on the subject of how the Māori were treated, though talks are, of course, peaceful. By 1868, New Zealand was starting to shape up into something somewhat recognisable to the modern day. There was a representative parliament, New Zealand largely governed itself rather than leaning on Australia, and in 30 short years, New Zealand would become the first country to give women the vote. But that doesn't mean the 20th century was short of events or that they were any less important. New Zealand played a large role in the First World War, where we served loyally under Britain. With only 1.1 million people in the entire country, the close to 100,000...
So it's really why New England need to help Britain. Well, really why? Because he helped British our country. Who's going to start war? If that's why we need to help the British Empire. So the British Empire got Australia, New Zealand, Canada, anything.
Percent was a huge chunk of the population. New Zealand famously fought bravely at Gallipoli, as well as contributing to the Somme and Passchendaele. New Zealand began a bold trend of...
Wait, that picture, I think I said in the First World War. Yeah, I think it.
above its weight on the global stage. In 1951, the ANZUS Pact was struck, guaranteeing New Zealand...
I've never heard that. So 1951, 1950. That's mean it start a Cold War. I've never heard the United States President German. She went in New Zealand to 1951. How did I never heard her? Didn't know.
Underneath the United States. This defence policy is still in effect today, but there is tension due to New Zealand's nuclear-free stance clashing with the United States. Hey, there might be nuclear weapons on this warship. 1981 saw a huge cultural divide in New Zealand as people were torn between the proper stance on South Africa's racism as it relates to sport. On one hand, rugby isn't meant to be political, but on the
She was raised white and famous. First meeting and hate people who like black people in our country everything. He please stop being a racist. I've never been a racist. So my parents, they raised me because they raised me for me.
And racism is a serious issue and we can't support it. The Springbok tour would eventually go ahead, but numerous games were shut down due to intense protesting. 1985 saw New Zealand's Rainbow Warrior fall victim to an attack by French intelligence due to their frustration at New Zealand's relentless and vigilant stance on being nuclear free. Following this event, there was a surge in New Zealand nationalism as people became proud to be New Zealanders. Not always the biggest or the strongest country.
Seeing a flag. Seeing on the British flag and there and you get a star in there. But that's been the same as Australia. So Australia and New Zealand together, same flag. So the British got the flag and then
But always punching above its weight and always standing up for what is right.
so that's today's video and we had to do in New Zealand. If you guys what you thought for New Zealand, you guys please if you left in New Zealand, tell me if you had lived Atlanta who fought in the First World War, Second World War. And then please guys comment below. Please think in New Zealand this history. You guys please comment below with my reaction that's history for country. Do you like history friends? Do you like history to the Soviet Union? Do you like history to Netherlands? That's a great option. Please guys comment below what you want to see my reaction to 3 countries for history. So you guys please comment below what you like the thought for history to England. So hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you thumb up for this video. So well last Friday and yesterday I didn't go to the cinema because Friday I don't have time to do cinema and then Saturday I can't go to the cinema because my mom's got her car. So you guys please comment below what you thought for this video. So have a enjoying video. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.